Peace be upon you. How old are you? And are you in elementary, middle, high school, or university? Hey, intellectual. Hey, lucky one. Don't you have assembly? This clip might upset or please you, but it holds surprising stories. Let's stay positive. In God's name, let's begin my school memories. Weren't they beautiful? They're either ordinary or bad, and I'm not going to say, oh, I wish the school days would come back. One time, I forgot my math homework and copied it from my classmate. I thought everything would be fine, but the teacher decided to call me up to the board to solve the problem, but I didn't understand anything. I grabbed the chalk and froze, making the class laugh. Back then we used chalk, not markers. I deserved it. I should have studied. Once I forgot my science book and the teacher hit my hand as a test subject. Many of us experienced such experiments. School often felt like a prison. High walls you couldn't cross. Teachers as snipers. One had a stick, another a headband, and the third, God bless him, had a strong hand. He might slap you. And when you enter school, they search for gum, sunflower seeds, or a phone. Now, even in class, some people enjoy bothering you. And that's not to mention the morning assembly, which sometimes I feel is pointless. By the way, not everything I mentioned has to be wrong. After school ends, there's a stage before you go home. The stage of fights. Two people agree to fight after school with the most famous phrase, "Meet me at the gate, you coward." For the students, this is top entertainment. You'll hear cheering and shouting, and usually a teacher must intervene. After all this, why do we study if there's fighting in class and fighting at the gate? When do we learn? Where? What about manners and morals?
Is this an exaggeration?
Yes, there's some exaggeration, but I started this way because some people actually think like that, and honestly, I can't excuse them. Some even say, when I become a teacher, I can hit any student I want. The Prophet, peace be upon him, showed us the best way to teach prayer, the most important thing in life, outlining rules from the 1st to the 7th year. It's natural that your child sees you praying, going to the mosque, coming back from the mosque, and sees his mother praying. He will love prayer even before you encourage him, teach him, or motivate him to pray. He might remind you to pray, saying, "Come on, Dad," or if he's from Hijaz, "Come on, Abuya, let's go to the mosque." When he turns 7, tell him to pray 5 times daily, totaling 35 times a week, 1,825 times a year, and 5,475 times over 3 years, after repeatedly telling him to pray when he turns 10. Here, you may lightly discipline him if he doesn't pray. Maybe a light tap on the hand to show him the importance of prayer and that it is the second pillar of Islam. And the truth is, after all these years, it's almost impossible for him not to pray, and this is a rare thing. Some schools don't use this method, so students are hit right after their first or second mistake. As a student, you want a respected teacher to give an enjoyable, useful lesson, not one you're afraid of and can't even ask to go to the bathroom. How did hitting children in schools make them smarter? One teacher was so attached to his bamboo stick that he nicknamed it Lexus. On the other hand, there was a teacher who taught us in 5th grade, and I consider him the best teacher I've ever met in my life. He used to teach religious subjects. His classes were a joy, and his words were beautiful and easy to understand. You live in a strange contradiction. One teacher hits, another comforts. Dad, stop saying, "Take my son as flesh and return him as bones." Do you think I'm a donkey to be burdened like that? Did he write, "Going back and forth to school"? Let's dig deeper. We often focus more on someone who says, "I studied at university abroad," than on someone who says, "I studied here." Better, there are strong universities and schools with advanced teaching in the Islamic world, but overall education and progress are stronger in the West. And yes, in recent years we've started to catch up with them, and soon, God willing, we'll surpass them. I mean, after all, there was a time when everyone used to come here to learn from us. Students once took pride in studying in Al-Andalus, Iraq, the Levant, and with Muslims. They were proud to speak Arabic, even if only to say "Assalamu alaikum." They used to say he was cultured, but now people mix Arabic with a couple of English words to seem cultured, even though they're just pretending. A line for polio tapis. What's the link? You don't know. Then why? Honestly, nothing is missing for us to make education in the Islamic world better. We have all the resources, abilities, qualifications, and money. What we're missing is the will. Implementing with honesty and integrity, I'll offer a solution that some may oppose. You see? This image shows how much Arabs have given up on their language. The blue color represents countries that use their native language for education, and the red color represents countries that do not use their native language for education. I couldn't find a logical reason not to study medicine or pursue higher education in Arabic. Arabic. So why should I, as an Arab Muslim, have to learn English to study medicine when Muslims and Arabs founded the basics of modern medicine? So how is it that today Arabic is considered an obstacle? The first obstacle to studying medicine? And in the past, the only way to learn medicine, algorithms, and experimental sciences was to know, read, and speak Arabic. Yes, we can fully translate all medical books and educational curricula into Arabic. Many countries use their own languages for all education, not English. If they can do it, so can we. There is no logical reason not to make education entirely in Arabic, even gradually. I'm not against learning other languages. On the contrary, it's great to study other popular languages from the early years of education. And the student can choose a language they like and go deeper into it, because when a student learns one or more languages from a young age, it becomes easier for them. When they grow up, they won't need to take language courses. It's different when we look for information and can't find it properly explained in Arabic. We'll find it explained correctly and in detail in another language, because we still lack scientific resources and documented experiences written and explained in Arabic. There are so many benefits to having a second language or more. And I know now you're going to say, man, we studied English for 6 years and didn't benefit from it. Are we stupid, or is the curriculum bad? There are several reasons. You might be lazy or not understand, causing your own failure. But teaching methods are also a big factor, since teachers have different styles in any subject. You enter the classroom, open to page 7, and the smartest student reads. The teacher fills the board with writing, then assigns homework, which everyone copies from the top student. Where are the student discussions and open-ended questions? That's why changing all this and adding modern technology and devices to education makes a huge difference. If you give a child information on paper, he might ignore it. But if you show it to him on a screen, it grabs his attention. So if you bring him wood and chalk, and you tell the students, this is your book and this is what you write in, they'll say you're crazy. We have paper, pens, and advanced devices. So why should we go back 50 years to wood or live in an era we refuse to move past? My dear, now the child teaches you how to unlock the phone and download apps. And if you lock your account on X, he might be the one who gets it back for you. So if we want progress and development because we love it, or even if you look at it just to make things better, not the West. So we have to develop and update our curricula and make sure the student gets everything he needs in his own country and surpass the West in what they excel at. The messenger, peace be upon him, he ordered Zayd ibn Thabit to learn the language of the Jews, so if a message was sent to or received from the Jews, it would be understood and not distorted by them. And that's how Jews are Jews. What do you expect from them? Zayd ibn Thabit learned the Jews' language in under half a month. Notice that strong determination. Some Muslims and non-Muslims mistakenly believe Islam discourages learning and is only about prayer, fasting, and Hajj. And they forget that the first verse in the Quran is read, and the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, whoever follows a path seeking knowledge, Allah will make his path to paradise easy for him. Though we are here mainly to pray, remember the verse. Allah will raise those who have believed among you and those given knowledge by degrees. Many proofs encourage seeking both religious and worldly knowledge, benefiting all Muslims. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, the most beloved people to Allah are those who are most beneficial to others. The science of hadith is built upon and taken from Muslim scholars. Now, let's come to an important point. Why does the student cheat? I could mention many reasons, but in the end, the common goal among them is usually to appear superior to others, even if by lying, and to feel a temporary satisfaction inside. What the student ignores or forgets is that he studies to understand and learn for himself and to benefit others, not just for a certificate to hang on the wall at home. Some people believe cheating is just helping. Even some teachers say it's forbidden, but give answers to late students during exams so they finish quickly. Let me briefly introduce myself. At our Anjam Rasim store, we have extensive experience with Saudi and other coffees. Our main product, Saudi coffee from Anjam Rasim, features high quality beans, cardamom, saffron, and our unique blend. You can try it yourself at our branch in Mecca, Al-Itaybia next to Snap Al-Salam, or visit our store through the link in the description. Delivery is available to all regions of the kingdom. Now, back to the events of the story. Imagine, my dear, a student who cheats through elementary, middle, high school, and university, then becomes a doctor. How can you trust him? Would you let him treat you or perform surgery on you? This guy? Okay, what if he confuses your liver with your pancreas? And don't be surprised if he forgets the scissors inside your stomach. Some people have become obsessed with degrees, and some judge you based on how many degrees you have. Some companies won't even hire you if you don't have a degree. The job doesn't require a degree, but it does need knowledge, experience, and a trial period. And many global companies don't even consider degrees important as long as your knowledge, experience, and abilities are enough. In the end, they need your effort and work, and you just need what they offer. That's it. So some companies, when you tell them you have knowledge and understanding, they say you must have a degree. You ask them to test you or try you out for a week, but they still insist you need a degree. That's true. In some fields, a degree is mandatory for employment, like all medical fields and others. But most of the time, you don't need a degree to prove your abilities. I mean, if you were in charge of hiring at Google, if two people apply, one with a PhD and one without a degree but more experience and knowledge, you'd naturally hire the latter, as he'll do more to grow your company. Let's be realistic, guys. The internet hasn't left anything out, and you can learn a lot from it. But the important thing is, how do you search for the right information and the reliable sources to get this information from? I'm not saying the internet is a substitute for school, but I consider it one of the important sources of information. And yes, it could be a substitute for school in some cases. As the saying goes, knowledge is in the mind, not on paper. You can learn as long as the way of learning is correct. For example, when I was in school, I had a calculator but didn't use it in math exams. I saw my friends using it and was surprised, but I still passed with acceptable grades. I mean, until I reached high school, a teacher came to our school to fill in for another teacher, the math teacher, for a limited period. He was, I think, over 50 years old. He entered the classroom while I sat in the front row. He began the lesson, explaining everything impressively, like teaching the alphabet and pronunciation. Although the lesson was easy, he discussed problems and calculations I found complicated. I could see everything clearly, and he explained it so simply that in one class he asked, "Who knows the right formula for this problem?" I looked at the board, raised my hand, gave a specific formula, and got the correct answer. Strangely, this formula wasn't in our curriculum. It actually came from outside and from other formulas. This teacher, after God, enlightened my mind and simplified the information, making math extremely easy and enjoyable for me. This affected me in physics and biology as well, but chemistry and English seemed to require more effort from me and teachers with the same approach as the math teacher, or even better. But yes, I admit there was a lot of negligence on my part. This teacher managed to get through to my sleepy mind in math class, so when the exam came, I understood how to use the calculator and its benefits. And in the second year, this teacher had left, but the remnants of his teaching still affected me, and I continued to benefit from them. However, in the last 2 years, I lost my passion for math and was just trying to finish the subject and pass just to get through. The teacher's attitude and teaching method have a big impact on the student. Yes, certificates and awards can motivate a student, but are they everything? Memorizing without understanding is the issue. Now let's move to another topic, though many may disagree with me. Why do most females like school more than males? I'm not saying women are smarter than men or the other way around. That's a separate issue. But women seem more enthusiastic about school, while men often feel trapped. Women spend most of their time at home, and they rarely go out. If they do go out, they might just visit another house. Their presence in the street is much less than men, who know all the animals in the neighborhood because they spend so much time outside. When a woman attends school, it provides her with an outlet, a change of environment, opportunities to meet new people, and more interaction. It's true that sometimes they might learn bad things from some girls, but for a man, it's like you've taken a bird and put it in a cage. That's why I suggested changing the school's design, teaching methods and hours, so students feel they'll benefit, learn, and enjoy themselves. Why don't schools allow students the same freedom as universities to pick major subjects and come and go as they want? I understand that we're dealing with minds that aren't at the same maturity and capability as university students, but that doesn't mean the idea can't be applied with different, careful details. And some warnings and changes can be introduced gradually and under a monitoring system for the benefit of the student, not the other way around. Besides, many European and Eastern schools have this system and things are going just fine for them. Imagine how you would feel as a student, if so. The principal said there will be a group trip for the students on Wednesday. You'd be happy even if the trip was just to your neighborhood bakery. One teacher made classes fun, so we left actually understanding the lesson. One time, he gave an example about the number 1 in the multiplication table, saying it's a neutral number, because the result stays the same. For example, 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 1,000 is 1,000. So he said 1 is like a referee. He's not on the red or green team. Since the student's favorite sport is soccer, he used an example from something they love, the sport they actually play, not just watch. So he would always explain things this way. And there's something you notice a lot, which is that many students, whether they've graduated or are still in the later stages, have very bad manners with their parents and neighbors. They're everywhere, yet if you ask a basic question about religion, they can't answer. So why isn't there a subject dedicated only to manners? Because it's part of religion. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, I was only sent to perfect good character. So this subject would focus on manners derived from the Quran and the Sunnah and the life of the Prophet, peace be upon him, the companions and the righteous predecessors. That way our manners would be as beautiful as those who came before us, and we would look up to role models who truly deserve to be followed. What's the point of so many years of education if a young man ends up ignorant and unaware of the righteous predecessors? Thank you. We don't want a smart student with bad manners, because upbringing always comes before education, and they follow the same path. Which brings us to the topic of religion. I also have a story about this with a new teacher, but before I tell the story, many schools in the Islamic world neglect teaching religion and its basics to students. It's not useful for a student to learn everything, and when it comes to religion, they say you can learn religion at the mosque. They argue most scientists and inventors are atheists, claiming religion didn't help them, so don't complicate things. Most are atheists anyway. That's not true. Muslim scholars have always had influence and importance, even if most were atheists. So what? Should we abandon religion just because of that? What's the point of education if it leads to atheism? Thirdly, we are Muslims, and our role model is the Prophet, peace be upon him, and our path is the Quran and the Sunnah. Here, religion always takes priority. Religion comes first, then the other sciences. In fact, learning religion is a main reason for excelling in all fields and sciences by a wide margin. For example, look at the difference between a religious psychiatrist and a secular psychiatrist. The first one has a high rate of patient recovery because he relies on religion, while the second has a much lower rate. What's sad, brothers, is that the literacy rate in the Islamic world is measured by whether a person can read and write or not, while in many advanced Arab countries, it's measured by whether the individual has general knowledge in several fields. That means the issue of reading and writing, they've moved far beyond that. I'll end this segment with the story of the very popular teacher we had in 5th grade. A teacher came to us who was doing his practicum at our school, meaning it was a period of preparation and testing for him, and then after that, he would be officially appointed to continue teaching at one of the schools. So the first time he entered the classroom, we were playing and running around. He closed the door and said, "Peace be upon you and God's mercy and blessings." He was smiling and the whole class calmed down. Honestly, I was surprised. He didn't scold us or say anything to us, and on top of that, he was smiling, man. This teacher was amazing. He taught religious subjects except the Quran and had an incredible presence. His outstanding manners made me truly love religious subjects. I eagerly anticipated his class and outperformed all other students, earning perfect grades. A student asked the teacher, "Did you know Allah only gets good grades in your class, not others?" He replied, "That's fine. What matters to me is the subject I teach, and that's what's important to me." The teacher always gave out prizes, and I always received one. He even made a prize for the most mischievous student, winning his heart and helping change many of his bad habits. With simple changes and effective educational methods, we can raise generations who make us proud and lead nations with our faith, knowledge, and impact. So what if we made the idea of advancing and developing education in all its details a priority for us, especially when it comes to religion? Without a doubt, we will reach advanced stages that we never imagined we could achieve before. It was an answer to several questions, the most important of which was the question in the video that I wanted to answer in a non-traditional, non-repetitive, and non-cliche way. I think the idea is clear to everyone. Thank you to everyone who supported the channel through PayPal and memberships. I pray God makes this content part of our good deeds and ongoing charity for us and all Muslims living and deceased. Peace, mercy, and blessings of God be upon you.